I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. Now that we have finished out the reign of Asa and are moving into the reign of his son Jehoshaphat, we need to turn back to Ether briefly and see what's going on among the Jaredites. Now this is the same generation as Jehoshaphat. Whether it lines up in actual timing, we don't know because we don't have enough information about the timing in Ether. But this is the generation of Jehoshaphat. So Jehoshaphat is king in Judah. Ahab is king in Israel. And now we are going to read about the Jaredites. This will be chapter 10, verses 19 to 29. And it came to pass that Lib also did that which was good in the sight of the Lord. And in the days of Lib the poisonous serpents were destroyed. Wherefore they did go into the land southward to hunt food for the people of the land. For the land was covered with animals of the forest. And Lib also himself became a great hunter. Now, if you will recall, several generations back, because of the wickedness of the people, the Lord sent a curse of serpents into the land. And the serpents chased the cattle south. And when they got into the land southward, the serpents stayed there in the passage into the land southward. And they've remained there. Nobody could go south. These poisonous serpents created this natural barrier that people could not go past. It was in Ether chapter 9 is where you can read about this, the last part of Ether chapter 9. And this is several generations, like 8-9 generations ago. So I think that the poisonous serpents were about the time of Joshua, possibly during the reign of the judges in the Bible. And we're now down at the reign of Jehoshaphat in the line of Judah. And now finally the poisonous serpents, it says they are destroyed. Now does that mean that God just drove them out, or did the men hunt them out and destroy them? It doesn't really clarify, but it opened the path down into the land southward. And the land southward at this time was covered in forests, beasts of the forest, and even King Lib became a great hunter as they hunted in the forests. Now let's continue. Verse 20. And they built a great city by the narrow neck of land, by the place where the sea divides the land. And they did preserve the land southward for a wilderness to get game. And the whole face of the land northward was covered with inhabitants. And they were exceedingly industrious, and they did buy and sell and traffic one with another, that they might get gain. So they built a city and preserved the land southward as a land for hunting. Nobody was allowed to settle there. They had the city to this is as far south as you can go. So hunters would come to the city, and that's where they would stay. They would get lodging in the city, and then they'd go out into the wilderness to do their hunting, kind of like we do in Africa today. You go in, and there's the cities on the outskirts of the jungle, and people will go, and they will get their lodgings there, and then they will take excursions into the jungles to do their hunting. Same thing going on here. It also talks about a very robust economic system here. Now, they don't have any outside kingdoms to trade with. This is just the Jaredites. But they obviously had many cities. They had an internal economy that was very robust, and it says they trafficked in all manner of stuff. Let's continue this. Verse 23. And they did work in all manner of ore, and they did make gold and silver and iron and brass and all manner of metals, and they did dig it out of the earth. Wherefore they did cast up mighty heaps of earth to get ore of gold and of silver and of iron and of copper. And they did work all manner of fine work. And they did have silks and fine twined linen. And they did work all manner of cloth, that they might clothe themselves from their nakedness. And they did make all manner of tools to till the earth, both to plow and to sow, and to reap and to hoe, and also to thresh. And they did make all manner of tools with which they did work their beasts. And they did make all manner of weapons of war. And they did work all manner of work of exceedingly curious workmanship. So we see great industry. the crafting here, the metal crafting, the seamstress, the agricultural work, all of it is flourishing. We've had now, apparently, we have Levi, Coram, Kish apparently was probably righteous, and now lived 4 kings in a row that were great righteous men. The kingdom is doing great. And then we get this final pronouncement here in verse 28. I love this. And never could be a people more blessed than were they, and more prospered by the hand of the Lord. And they were in a land that was choice above all lands, for the Lord had spoken it. Never were people more blessed and more prosperous. Even the Nephites, after the visit of Christ, never could there be a people more blessed. These guys at this time were just as prosperous, just as blessed as the Nephites after the coming of Christ. This is, the Jaredites have had several periods of prosperity and greatness. King Omer and his son Emer, great guys. But this is the one time where we're said that this is almost their golden age, where for likely close to a century, if not more, they have been under good, righteous rulers, and they are prospering. And I will point out one last detail here. It says here, and they were in a land that was choice above all lands. Just to clarify, they're talking about North America, particularly the United States. That is my opinion. I think that to say the Jaredites were anywhere but the United States doesn't make any sense. But let us read this last verse 29. And it came to pass that Lib did live many years, and begat sons and daughters, and he also begat Hertham. We're going to leave it there. This is the period, this is one of their golden ages, we'll say. I think they had 3. At the very beginning, King Oriha, the first king, just coming out of the time of the Jared and his brother. Then Omer and Emer, although during Omer's reign you had the first great civil war. And then you have Emer, the golden age under Emer, and we're getting another golden age here under Lib. But after this, it's going to all go downhill. So stay tuned for that.